Some of you know that I like motorcycle riding, but also I like to take some stills. And in an effort to find a small backpack that carries all of my photography gear, but isn't too big to kind of bulk me down when I'm riding my motorcycle, meaning doesn't have too much padding and overall is on the smaller side. That kind of sparked the idea to make this roundup video, because I think that these sub 20 liter backpacks are very good recommendations for all of you who are looking for a bag for work that is not that big, or more specifically in the 11 to 16 liter range, and therefore doesn't tempt you to overpack, but is just big enough to fit all of your essentials. Alright, let's start with the first bag in this small bag roundup, and this is actually the bag that kind of sparked the idea to make this video. This is the Boundary Supply Stasis Pro in the X-Pack edition. On paper, this is a 15 liter capacity backpack. That being said, personally, I do not perceive it as 15 liter. I actually perceive it as much smaller. That being said, I was able to fit a lot of items into this. However, let me kind of explain the use case of this bag and how I utilize this bag and why I thought I wanted to make this roundup video of small backpacks. I did not use this bag for work. I did not carry work equipment with this. I wanted, because I started to shoot a lot of stills on this Fuji X-M5 and shoot a lot of video with the Pocket 3, but I also do a lot of motorcycle riding. I wanted to have a small bag that fits only my camera gear without having a camera cube inside that would make the bag a little bit more bulky, but also isn't too big to kind of get in my way when I'm riding my motorcycle. Because if the bag is too big, I either don't take it with me, or when there are a lot of side winds, you just notice it when a bag is too big on a motorcycle, which is why I wanted a small bag. Hence the reason I decided on using the Boundary Supply Stasis Pro for this use case. Again, I perceived it smaller than 15 liter, which in my mind, I perceive it maybe as 10 liters in capacity, but I will explain in just a second. This fits more than I anticipated. With that in mind, I wanted only to carry my cameras, so the DJI Pocket 3, the Fuji X-M5, which is filming this perspective here, but also some stuff like a small little pouch with some extra equipment, to which I will get in a second. And with kind of explaining the use case, I maybe will load up some office equipment in here as well, so you can kind of see what I packed inside. But again, I tried to pack as minimalistically as possible, just for the pure reason I don't want to have a bulky bag. I don't want to have too much with me, whilst still having the ability to carry my camera gear. And I was actually able to carry a small package inside this backpack to the post office, which then again surprised me, and I was like, oh, this is actually bigger than I anticipated. The whole backpack, just like all of the recent Boundary Supply backpacks that I have tested, I have seen in the comments section that some of you were complaining about the durability of the Boundary Supply backpacks from the past, be it the primer system, which was one of the first, and the regular Aaron. Some of you were commenting that the Boundary Supply durability wasn't that great, but from my personal experience with the Aaron Pro, with the Renan Pro, the build quality is actually good, but those are fairly new bags compared to the primer system, which is I would say 4 or 5 years old, no, even longer, but I'm not really sure. But I want to acknowledge that some of you were commenting on the durability on those backpacks. But this one, the Stasis Pro and the Renan Pro that I reviewed a while back, check out that video in the info tab above. The durability and the build quality, the choice of materials, from what I was able to experience, especially on the motorcycle, I can say that the build quality is good, and I really like this X-Pack fabric. This is a black bag, and when you're on a motorcycle, you want to be somewhat visible, and that is the reason why on some of these lashing points here I put some high-vis reflective band. This is actually something that you put on your arm or on your legs when you're bicycle riding, but I put it here on these little attachment loops. you can see here, it is a very small bag, which again kind of underlines why I perceived it as a 10-liter backpack and not a 15-liter backpack. And before going over the inside, you can actually transform this in either a somewhat pouch mode where you hide away the shoulder straps into this back panel here. You can just detach the straps here with these hooks and then put it away. But you also can kind of transform it when you use this one shoulder strap and put it on the side, use it in sling bag mode. But I didn't use it that way. I used it only in backpack mode, and therefore I will only comment on the comfortability in backpack mode. You can also hide away the straps and then attach it to the Renan Pro on the outside. Personally, I don't know if anyone actually does that. I don't really see the reason why you want to attach on paper 15-liter capacity backpack to I think the Renan Pro is a 25-liter capacity backpack. Why you actually want to do that, I don't know, but you can do that. It is actually, these are fairly thin straps, but on my motorcycle this is actually beneficial. You have a lot of protection and armor on your shoulders and on your elbows. Having bulky straps on here is to some degree getting in your way, or at least you will notice it. And as I said, I don't want to notice this backpack, which is the reason why I decided on this backpack as my everyday carry or everyday riding motorcycle backpack. On the back you have a small little hidden compartment which I use for my wallet. I always put my wallet into this compartment so it is close to my back, and then you don't have anything else here on the outside. Now, before I go into the main compartment, I just want to show you this. There are some magnets here in the top, and you see this, how it kind of expands on the top, but also on the bottom here. See that? So if nothing is inside this bag, the main compartment is to some degree self-compressing. But once you put something in my case, it was a small little package that I brought to the post office, this is able to expand. And I think that is how the 15 liters capacity on paper is kind of calculated. But just like the Errant, where I said in the review, that bag, the Errant, is smaller than it was actually claimed on the product page or the specification. I think the same holds true with this. You can fit some items in here, but I'm not sure if this is actually 15 liters in capacity. Again, I personally perceive it as 10 liters or even smaller, but I don't have any way to properly measure the volume. But this somewhat self-compressing style of the main compartment is actually quite good. And you can kind of see it here. It becomes a little bit of an aerodynamic shape. Now, opening up this main compartment, it is somewhat clamshell opening, not 100% because it opens only up 75% and then folds over a little bit. It is a black interior, which you can see here is, I don't like that at all, because you don't see your items inside. I would really wish more companies would opt for bright inner lining, but then it is fairly simple. You have a little slot here to kind of organize some stuff, but other than that, this is just one black hole that can expand via these two little magnetic points here. But other than that, nothing too impressive, or no bells and whistles. So I just store a pouch here, which I use for my action cam, store that in here, but also the camera and maybe some water or whatever. Then you have, just like on Renan, the Errant or the Primer. Did the Primer have a similar system? Not sure, but in the back you have another compartment that is somewhat the tech compartment, where you have a laptop slot this only fits a laptop up to 14-inch. Again, kind of underlining why I perceived it as a smaller backpack, because many bigger backpacks, 16 and upwards, allow for at least a 15, most of the times a 16-inch MacBook Pro, but this only allows a 14-inch MacBook Pro inside this laptop compartment. You have a couple of slots, which are great if you kind of want to store SSDs or smaller items, or maybe if you use camera gear, maybe some batteries, filters for your lenses. You have zipper slots here and here on this part as well, with some mesh, not really see-through, but for example here in the top I stored a magic arm that is great to attach your action cam to some points on your motorcycle. But other than that, as you can see here, there is not much to it. It's great to have all of this organization, but this compartment overall is fairly slim, so it's not really the place to store like thick and bulky items in here. For example, I wouldn't be able to fit like my camera inside this compartment, because then I wouldn't be able to close it. So this is only for like flat items that you want to organize, or at most this magic arm that compressed is fairly thin. And that is basically all that is to it, to this bag. You could argue that is a fairly simple bag. Oh, totally forgot, you have another quick access hidden pocket here on the side, which I sometimes use for my phone. Slot it in here, then my wallet in this back pocket and phone in this side pocket. So really cool. All, by the way, AquaGuard YKK zippers, which again is a really good addition when you're riding a motorcycle and you get into rain. Then all of your gear is basically protected from the weather and the elements. And before I show you how I maybe try to fit some of my office equipment in here, again, from the use case of a motorcycle rider and trying to find a bag that isn't too big so it won't get in your way when riding, but still big enough to carry some items like cameras, maybe a lunchbox, water and whatnot, or maybe store some of your motorcycle gear when you're going to a coffee shop. So your gloves, your kidney protector and stuff like that. Then I really enjoy this bag just because it is so small and doesn't get in your way. It is very well made. It is weather resistant with all of the AquaGuard zippers, the X-Pack fabric. It is really cool. These self-compressing magnets inside the main compartment. That is a really good addition, and the reason why I really enjoy using this for motorcycle riding. However, again, I really doubt that this is actually 15 liters. I give Boundary Supply, maybe this is a 13-liter backpack, but I perceive it as a 10-liter backpack in terms of usability. Again, I will load a couple of my equipment in the B-roll that I probably edit over this while I'm talking. Not really sure if this is the stated capacity of 15 liters. The build quality, again, really cool. I like the look. Granted, with it being all black, I know that some of you motorcycle riders prefer an all black outfit, but in terms of visibility, this probably isn't that great. That is why I attached this. Inside could be a silver inner lining, would have been great. And other than that, it is comfortable to carry on a motorcycle when you have a lot of gear on. But other than that, it is also comfortable to carry around with normal clothing when you're walking around, because as I will kind of explain in the video, most of these small bags won't be that heavy anyway. So I always perceive all of the bags in this video, because they are so small, to be very comfortable to carry around. So yeah, personally, I really like this backpack, especially for motorcycle riding, and I can highly recommend it for that use case. For work, it might be a little bit too small for some of you, but again, this video is all about small backpacks, and just because I can't fit all of my equipment inside, like a mechanical keyboard, a really huge tech pouch like the Cap 2 liters, I will acknowledge that that is a loadout that most of you do not really need, and most of you maybe only carry some notebooks to write in, your laptop, maybe a water bottle or a lunchbox. And for those, in air quotes, small loadouts, because you have a desk where you usually keep all of your items, 10 to maybe 16 liters is a perfect size for you. So yeah, maybe check out the Boundary Supply Stasis Pro, but let's take a look at some other small backpacks. Alright, now that we have covered the bag that kind of sparked the idea of making this video about small backpacks, let's talk about a bag that I actually have used, and therefore this is a review. Again, some of the bags that I mentioned in this video I either have used, and therefore those will be reviews, or those segments will be reviews. Some of the bags I just took a look at and maybe are considered only quick looks. So this review. So this is the Alpaka Bravo Tote Pack, a 13-liter hybrid tote bag slash backpack. I have used this in both modes basically, either in tote bag mode when I'm just using my car, or as a backpack mode. But I wanted to show you this in tote bag mode because, as I mentioned in some of my videos and in one of the podcasts, I think 2025 is the year of the tote bag, or these hybrids where you can transform the tote bag into a backpack, and I really like this. What I really like about Alpaka bags in general, I think the features and the build quality and the choices of materials are amazing. Honestly, just like with the bags from Air, I think you cannot go wrong with either of these bags, be it from Air or in this case from Alpaka, because they are so well made. In comparison to Air, where I said that Air is a little bit more vanilla and therefore much easier to recommend to the mainstream, I think Alpaka has a couple of more unique design cues and aren't as vanilla as the ones from Air, especially since you also can get them in different colors. And I really do like this green of this tote bag. For me, these 13-liter capacity bags usually aren't that great for my work essentials because I carry a lot of gear, be it my laptop, which most people carry, but in addition to my laptop, I carry a lot of equipment, which usually makes using 13-liter backpacks for me very difficult. So I carry a mechanical keyboard. Many people do not carry a mechanical keyboard. I carry an Evergood Cap 2-liter, which carries all of the essentials that I also need for work, be it cables, chargers, and then I also carry 1 or 2 cameras, be it the Pocket 3 that is filming me, or this Fuji XM5. That is a lot of gear that I need to carry. That usually does not fit into a 13-liter backpack. However, I was really impressed that I was able to fit most of those items, not all of them, but most of those items into this Bravo Tote Pack. So let's go over what's inside. First and foremost, take a look at this front compartment that is your admin panel. You have a couple of organizational slots in here that are good to have. However, I have to say the opening is fairly tight and fairly small, so it's not as easy to utilize all of the space inside this slot. I have in here my track folding pouch, which is my extended EDC with cables, charger, and small little multi-tool, so items that I don't necessarily need in my pants pockets, but that are good to have with me on a daily basis. Just an emergency backup case, basically. And then I did not put anything else in here because it is fairly cramped. Again, a downside of the 13-liter, why I usually don't use 13-liter backpacks. But this fits a lot of stuff. And as I said, I can fit most of the items that I usually carry. I can fit my DJI Pocket 3 in here, in addition to this extended EDC, but I'm not able to fit my Fuji XM5. So I don't put anything else into this. Maybe my car keys when I arrive at the office, but other than that, I did not put anything in here. You do have a lot of cool slots to organize, maybe a pen, maybe a small little flat notebook, and that is very important. Flat items will fit in here quite well. Let's open up this main compartment, which is top loading, pretty much the standard for tote bags, and all of these are really high quality AquaGuard YKK zippers. In here I have some Bluetooth headphones that I tested in one of my other videos. These are the Edifier, I forgot the specific name, but that being said, all of these items, especially with the correct product name, are linked below. Those are affiliate links. If you use one of those affiliate links, you won't pay more, but you will support support this channel with a small kickback of that sale. And if you do so, thank you very much. So these Edifier Bluetooth headphones are actually quite good because A, they are pretty much budget friendly due to their plastic build, but the noise cancelling feature is great. And more importantly, the latency of this Bluetooth and the sound quality is good enough for me to edit with these on my laptop. So I really enjoy using these for non-critical edits. So editing with these is great, but if I have to mix, I will use other headphones. But just for editing alone, these are amazing. Then inside here, I have my mechanical keyboard. This is the knock-free split keyboard, a really cool keyboard that I enjoy a lot using because it is ergonomic due to it being able to fit the angle of your wrist, and then you can actually tent it, giving you much more ergonomic benefits, and the switches sound amazing. Sounds great, right? I really like this. Then I have, as mentioned, the Evergood Cap 2 liter, my favorite tech pouch because it can fit all of my equipment that I need. Again, charger from Aohi, my Logitech MX Master 1. I use the MX Master 3 on my main station here at home, but when I'm going to work, I use this one. Still holds up really well. A couple of hubs, cables, and what I like about this Cap 2 liter, you can then just put it on the desk like so and use it as a desk cradle. So really good tech pouch that comes in quite handy when you arrive at work. Then I have in the suspended laptop slot that also has a soft inner lining, I have my Apple MacBook Pro 14-inch. Really good to travel with this or to carry it because it isn't that big. Then you have a zippered slot here at the top where I store the Bellroy Carryology pencil case. That is my boo-boo kit. Really good little case, small enough, lightweight enough to carry band-aids, ibuprofen and stuff like that. So always handy to have. So in summary, you have a small little zippered slot here at the top to kind of utilize the whole vertical space, a laptop slot, a tablet slot. What I don't like about this not being an external laptop slot, your laptop is in contact basically with the items in this pocket. Yes, it is protected by some sheet of fabric and some padding, but the top part of your laptop is still in contact with some of the items that are in here, and there is the possibility that your laptop either can get a little bit scratched, and because it is only 13 liters, it is fairly cramped, and therefore there is the potential to create some pressure points onto your laptop. Again, the reason why I usually do not like using 13-liter capacity backpacks. But this one is really cool because I was able to fit everything in there whilst being very compact and not really getting in my way. Moreover, I really dig the look of this bag. This looks very, office friendly, but still cool to a degree and not too business-like. I have to say that in tote bag, because 13 liters isn't that big and bulky and therefore you don't tend to overpack it, it is comfortable to carry around because obviously if this would be a 20-liter tote bag, this wouldn't be that comfortable to carry around because it will get too heavy. With the shoulder straps, it's also comfortable to carry around. That being said, to be very fair, in my humble opinion, most 13-liter backpacks are fairly comfortable to carry around because A, they are small, they don't kind of bulk out too much, they won't be that heavy empty, and they won't be that heavy when fully loaded. So I really think in terms of comfort, I'm not going into it too much because I feel that most of these 13-liter bags will be very comfortable due to its size and the weight when fully loaded. On the outside, you have a bottle slot, which I believe many of you will like a lot, but this is actually fairly tight. I have my Lark water bottle in here. You can fit it inside, but depending on how full the main compartment is, it will be somewhat of a tight squeeze to put it in here when fully loaded. So I rarely use that slot, but it is good to have. So the Alpaka Bravo tote bag, really cool backpack, well made. Surprisingly, a lot of space for 13 liters. I was able to fit a lot inside. The choice of materials are great. I really dig the look, being very office friendly, but still looking cool and not too serious. And as I said, the only downsides that I can tell you about this bag for me is all of the slots and all of the compartments will get a little bit tighter and a little bit more cramped because, for example, this front compartment is tight and won't give you a lot of flexibility in terms of expanding. So on one hand, this makes the bag look very streamlined and very streamlined to carry around, especially in the commute in the subway, for example. But all of the items inside the volume is not as spacious as other bags that have a little bit more give. I know I contradict myself a little bit with this statement because on one hand I'm telling you 13 liters, this was surprisingly a lot of space, but when I go to the next few bags you maybe will understand what I mean by that, because yeah, so that it doesn't give you a lot of flexibility in terms of expanding, but still you can fit a lot of items in here. They will just feel a little bit squished or compressed together, for the lack of a better explanation. Alpaka Bravo tote bag, love this bag. I can highly recommend it if you're looking for a tote bag, hybrid backpack in the 13 liter capacity. Okay, this next bag. Consider this segment of this video a quick look, because while I have not tested this bag specifically, I have tested the bigger brother and all of the other bags from this company. This is the Able Carry Daily or Day Pack? Daily. I think it's Daily 13. The 13 liter version of their daily backpack, which I really liked a lot. And I did not test this, again, quick look, but I've tested the bigger brother and I wanted to show you this because while I have not tested this for very specific reasons, I want to show you this because I believe this could be a good alternative for you if you're looking for a 13 liter backpack. And I want to show you this backpack and one of the downsides why I did not test this, but kind of underline why the Alpaka was so amazing that I was able to fit all of those items into that 13 liter backpack. This has the same capacity, and while the way it is designed, it has a little bit more give and has this somewhat round belly, and you would assume that this would fit much more items because it can kind of expand into this kind of belly shape. It did not fit all of the items that I was able to fit into the Alpaka. Into the Able Carry and the other one Alpaka. I was not able to fit my mechanical keyboard in this backpack, which is the reason why I've never properly used and tested this. Again, still I feel like this is something you might want to consider, because just like all of the Able Carry backpacks, this is very well made. They have amazing colors. This is also the green one. Also, I am a big fan of X-Pack fabric. I know many of you don't really care for X-Pack because it is noisy. Can you hear this? It is a little bit crinkly, but I do love the durability, the look of this kind of pattern, and the ability to have multiple different color versions of those backpacks. I really like that. With the Able Carry Daily, that is the bigger brother, you have a really good design philosophy that, in my humble opinion, looks really good and is very comfortable to carry, because the bigger version has this A-frame where the strap kind of loops here on the bottom to the front. This daily version doesn't have that, but as I previously mentioned, I believe with 13 liters, all of these bags are comfortable, no matter if some features like that A-frame isn't available on this version. You have a couple of lashing points here to attach carabiners, to attach something on the outside. You have a water bottle pocket here on the side, but just like on the Alpaka, if this bag is fully loaded, you will not be able to put something into this water bottle slot, which is the downside for this category of capacity. Another reason why I didn't use this. Let's go over what I was able to pack inside this backpack and what I was not able to pack inside. So here on the front, a really big compartment that in theory wouldn't be as cramped like in the Alpaka, but I packed it up, the main compartment, to the brim, so it also is a little bit fuller here. And I really want to underline and emphasize my packing style is not like regular packing style for people who go to a regular office, in air quotes, or when you are employed and you have your specific desk. You can't leave all of your stuff there. I'm a freelancer. I'm switching desks and workstation so many times, which is the reason why I pack so many items that are very out of the ordinary, meaning a mechanical keyboard, a tech pouch that is filled up to the brim. If I would have a desk and in an office where I wouldn't need to switch out stuff, those items would be in that office. So I'm not 100% the target demographic for this kind of capacity size, but I believe that many of you might benefit from having a smaller backpack, and that is the reason why I want to show you these bags. So in the front, again, track folding pouch, which is the extended EDC, and besides that, there aren't any organizational compartments here, but you have a key leash. But other than that, this is a fairly big and spacious, despite me packing up the bag to the brim. If this main compartment wouldn't be that full, there would be much more space in here. Unlike the Alpaka, I feel like even if the Alpaka bag isn't fully loaded, it is still very squished, the front compartment. However, all of the items that you will pack into this front compartment will just slide to the bottom and eventually accumulate here at the bottom. So that is definitely something to keep in mind, because there aren't any slots in here to kind of use the whole vertical space. Now continuing with the main compartment, the zippers are YKK, not Aquaguard, but still very high quality and durable. It is also top loading, but I feel like your opening is much bigger and much wider. Again, the edifier, Bluetooth, noise cancelling headphones, and now you can already see my mechanical keyboard is missing. There wasn't any space to fit it inside here. Also, my Bellroy pencil case, my Boo Boo kit, did not fit into this top compartment with the zipper. This is a good space to put in your wallet or your keys, for example, but bigger items will compete with the space of the main compartment. I slotted that into one of these small little side pockets here. I hope you can see that kind of help you to organize your items in this main compartment. That being said, this is also a place where you could store your water bottle if you prefer to have it inside, but then again, it will compete and take away a lot of the space inside. Then I have my Evergoods Cap 2 liter again, and I really need to emphasize this. This is huge, and all of the stuff that I pack are a lot. So being able to fit these couple of items already in here is much more than many other people would carry on a daily basis. Again, not for me, but I truly believe that 13 liters is a good capacity and volume size for many people if you just go to work and you don't need to carry that much. Maybe a lunchbox, maybe your laptop, a couple of notebooks like to write in, some documents. That is most of the times what people, I would assume, need for work. And with that in mind, with that loadout, 13 liters is enough, because if it gets bigger, you kind of get tempted to overpack and bring much more items. Besides that, I didn't pack anything else in here. The laptop compartment, just like in the Alpaka, is inside this main compartment. It is suspended, it is very well padded, but as you can see here, you have to kind of wiggle out the laptop around this little lip. And if the bag is fully loaded, obviously all of those items will be in front of the laptop, making it a little bit more difficult to pull out that laptop, which to me is a downside if you want to travel with this. If you go through the TSA check, it might get a little bit difficult to unload your laptop, because you will need to take out some of the other items first just to take out the laptop. But again, I think this is just for the office, for working, for commuting, for taking some of the items with you to the office. And all of these items, I mean, this is a lot. As again, this is not your regular loadout for someone who has a dedicated place in the office, dedicated desk at the office. You won't bring all of these items every single day. And you were able, or I was able to fit all of these items into this main compartment. I really like this kind of beige interior. Prefer much brighter interiors, but this is still a really cool color that fits to this green version. And besides that, I kind of sound like a broken record, but this 13-liter capacity is always, or most of the times, very comfortable to carry. And just like with the other able carry bags, this is also very comfortable to carry. By the way, you have a hidden zippered slot here, maybe for your wallet, because this pocket is much closer to your body. And when you're commuting, you want your valuable items closer to your body to prevent pickpocketing. So while I did not really test this myself, just based on my previous experience with the bigger versions and all of the other able carry bags, I really think this is amazing and a good recommendation for anyone looking for a 13-liter backpack, because to me they are very well made. They look amazing. I really like the look of able carry bags. They are comfortable to carry, at least for my body type and my frame and my height. And with 13 liters, I assume that it will be most of the time very comfortable to carry. As long as you are not maybe huge. If you're a very huge person, maybe 2 meters tall or something, and you're bodybuilding, then obviously this is not for you. But for many people, I think this is still a good recommendation. Again, I was not able to fit all of my stuff in here. I was able to fit it into the Alpaka, but if you don't carry this much items, then this is definitely something that you might want to take a look at. Alright, and last but not least, a bag that maybe due to its capacity doesn't necessarily fit the category, but I believe it's still a small backpack. This is the Haize project Techtote 16 liters in capacity, and I have to say in advance I did not test this yet completely. Therefore, this segment of this video is a quick look. However, I already have a lot to say about this bag because I really like this quite a bit. I have a couple of bad things, but honestly a lot of good things that I could gather from a couple of uses with this. Again, quick look, not fully tested this yet, but with 16 liters, I believe it's still a small backpack, and I definitely think you should check it out because it is a hybrid backpack slash tote bag. And I can only repeat myself, I truly believe 2025 is the year of the tote bag, and if you have a hybrid that can be utilized as a tote bag, but also can be worn as a backpack, and then you can take the shoulder straps and hide them away, makes this a really cool alternative to many backpacks and kind of makes up for the trade-offs that a tote bag has, being just able to carry it in this tote bag style, for the lack of a better explanation. And what I do like about these hybrid backpacks, which I mentioned in the Life Behind Bars transition tote, but also in the Ground Truth tote bag, I forgot the name about that. What I like about these hybrids is that due to the design of a tote bag, I feel like when you wear it in backpack mode, it looks much more unique. It has a different kind of shape to it, and being a tote bag, they tend to be a little bit more, let's say, flatter instead of like bulking out, and I do like that look quite a bit, and the same holds true with this Haize backpack. This is the X-Pack version in this gray. Again, I personally like X-Pack, but I can understand that some people don't like it for the X-Pack being very noisy. However, I noticed that while it is still noisy, you can hear this, it feels different than the other X-Pack. Usually when you have X-Pack, for some reason, or the properties that I know X-Pack for, it is fairly stiff in a way and more rigid, but this feels kind of soft-ish. Really difficult to explain. I don't know what they have done with this X-Pack, if there is a special coating, but to me it doesn't really it feels slightly different than normal X-Pack. Very difficult to explain. Then you have some Hyperlon here on the top and at some parts at the bottom. For some reason, not on the bottom of the bag, but there is some Hyperlon here with some attachment points, but not Hyperlon here. This is, I would say, regular Cordura. Maybe a weird choice that I don't really understand yet, why there is regular Cordura on the bottom and not something that is a little bit more, less to attract lint dust, because this, I feel like this could get a little bit dirtier faster. That is not to say that the Cordura at the bottom might be less durable than the X-Pack. Not sure about that yet, but just wanted to point that out. You have like a loop here, which to me reminds me of some of the motorcycle backpacks where you can attach like your helmet on here. I would assume this is more for bicycle helmets, but it's good to have an attachment point here if you want to lash something quickly on the outside. This Hyperlon flap is there to protect these two outer quick access pockets, which I really like. From the design, because this is kind of symmetrical, but gives you a lot of space with volume that is going outward and not taking away from the capacity that is inside. So these are somewhat like independent compartments. And here with this double zipper, you can open up. There's two slots that have a bright red, not yellow, red inner lining. I like that a lot. On one side, I stored the track folding pouch again, and on the other side, my Bellroy pencil case, the Boo kit. And please excuse that I maybe need to repeat myself because this is quite far into the video. All of these items are linked below. Those are affiliate links. With those you won't pay more, but you will support this channel with a small kickback of that sale. And yeah, what's the saying? You kind of keep the lights running of this production. If you do so, if you use some of those affiliate links to support this channel, thank you very much. So those are the items that I have here in this front pockets that I really like because they have independent volume and there is a separation, so you can really nicely organize your items apart from each other. Also a cool bag, for example, if you're a motorcycle rider like me, have some gloves, put them here, put your neck gaiter, and that could go on the other side. So I really like this, and I do believe I will use this as my motorcycle backpack. Then before going inside, you have this top handle. One of the two top handles is a little bit weird because it doesn't have like this part for holding, but it's rather a strap that you can kind of configure in length. Not really sure why that is or what the design choice is for this. So you can make it shorter to kind of help this second strap to carry it in tote bag mode. And if you want to hide away the shoulder straps that are in backpack mode, just kind of open up these two G-hooks and then you can loop them here inside. One of the downsides is, and this is something that I also said in the Life Behind Bars review, these slots where you put your straps in are obviously open. They are open like here, like so. So if you are going into rain, all of the water will go in here and either accumulate in this pocket or just create moisture in here. So if you get into rain, I would highly recommend to kind of air out this bag and this segment so that there isn't moisture accumulating here in this segment. There is like a zipper here at the bottom to kind of use as a drainage hole or whatever. So if there would be water in here, you could potentially just kind of let it flow out. And then, yeah, I would highly recommend if you get into rain, definitely try to air this part out. If you want to go back to backpack mode, just attach the G-hooks like so, that. Before going into the main compartment, you have a quick access slot here that is right on your back, so perfect for your wallet or anything that is important to you. Some attachment points here on the side, which I could see being utilized to have a side handle, maybe add that to it. Not sure if that is available. Now going into the main compartment, can open it up. Top loading, like all of the tote bags, obviously, and some beautiful red inner lining with this diamond pattern on this side where there is some soft padding. This kind of reminds me of like the interior of a bomber jacket. This is very soft. I really like this a lot. Here at the top you have two small mesh pockets, maybe a little bit difficult to see here. Two zippered mesh pockets for smaller items that you maybe want to store. And just like in the other bags, I have my headphones from Edifier, my keyboard. Obviously, because this is 16 liters, you can fit much more items whilst not being too big to kind of tempt you to overload. So I think 16 liter for me personally is a perfect sweet spot of being not too big and not too small. I usually like 20 liter capacity backpacks, but if I would like to go smaller, I think 16 liters is the perfect sweet spot for me to kind of fit especially these extra items like my mechanical keyboard, for example, that wasn't able to fit into the, no pun intended, able carry daily 13. But that being said, all of these items were able to fit in the Alpaka tote bag. Maybe again testament for tote packs, not sure. Then the Evergoods Cap 2 liter, and here a good view hopefully into the interior. It really looks very nice. Then you have a zippered pocket here on the top, which is a soft and very well padded laptop compartment. I believe this, my MacBook Pro 14-inch has plenty of space left, so I believe this would actually fit a MacBook Pro 16, and dare I speculate that you also could fit a PC laptop, which usually, as far as I understand, are much bigger than MacBook Pros. So I feel like this would be able to actually fit that. Unfortunately, while in theory the laptop slot is a little bit suspended, it is not suspended enough to, at least for me, consider it a suspended laptop slot. It is, if I feel it correctly, the laptop slot stops maybe, if I feel it correctly, a centimeter above the ground, but the bottom of that laptop slot is so soft that it flexes to the bottom. And essentially for me, I don't really consider that a suspended laptop compartment. So definitely something that you need to keep in mind. However, as I've mentioned, my MacBook Pro was having a lot of space at the top. So you could use some of those tissue paper packets. We call them Tempotaschentücher, but I have seen that with Kleenex as well. You could put that at the bottom and giving you some padding and creating a suspended laptop compartment. So let's put all of this back in here just to showcase there is plenty of space inside. And yeah, just from first quick look, I really like this bag. It is, truth to be told, maybe you could perceive it as 20 liter because to some degree from the footprint, it does look bigger than 16 liters, but I'm just going to believe that this is 16 liters. And since this is a tote bag and being a little bit more, let's say, flatter, it probably doesn't fit as much items like a 20 liter regular backpack. Therefore, yeah, 16 liters, still a small backpack, despite it being bigger than the other backpacks that were usually in this 13 liter-ish, 11 liter-ish category, but below 20 liters, so I consider it a small backpack. I really like this from my quick look. I will test this some more, but honestly, I really like these tote bags that are hybrid because they look so amazing on your back when you're wearing it. But yeah, that was the Haize Project Techtote 16 liters. Alright, that was the roundup of the small backpack video or recommendations that are between 11 to 16 liters in capacity. Again, for me personally, 20 liter is the sweet spot because I carry so much equipment and because I switch desks so many times. But I really think that many of you who work at one specific desk and leave most of their equipment on that desk and don't need to carry that much. So maybe just a laptop, maybe some documents and a lunchbox. For all of you, that capacity between 11 to 16 liters might be the perfect volume, it might be the perfect choice. So that is why I believe these 4 backpacks might be good recommendations for your loadout and your your carry style. So yeah, maybe let me know in the comment section below, are any of those bags interesting to you? Which one would you choose, and what's the perfect volume size for you, whilst still keeping in mind, I guess many of you would prefer a 20-liter backpack, but if you are very true and honest to yourself, do you actually need that much volume and capacity? Because most of the time we tend to overpack when we have still so much room left. So if you are very thoughtful and very efficient about what you're packing, do you think, or do you believe a smaller backpack would work for you? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, if you have any questions, also comment below, and don't forget, all of the items are linked below. Those are affiliate links. With those you won't pay more, but you will support this channel with a small kickback of that sale. And if you want to see my last year's small backpack roundup, watch the video up here, and YouTube thinks that you like the video down here. And don't forget to subscribe by clicking the button up here. I see you next video. Thank you very much.